Go on, you do the honours again because we're starting again. Go on, if you give me a clap, then I can.
Knobheads.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming back to the second episode. I'm glad I've actually managed to pull a second episode out. I was worried that it was going to be one and done, that my brain wouldn't allow me to be organised to come back and do a second, but thank you. We didn't have a name for the first one, but the name was developed after. So it's episode 2 of Knobheads, which I'm happy with as a name. And today I'm joined by not a pedal maker, but someone I've known for a relatively long time. It's John from JT Guitar, or the JT School of Contemporary Music. Is that the full name now?
JT School of Contemporary Music, or fellow knobhead.
Oh, yeah, well, perfect.
Straight after this, I'm going to meet up with some students, because once a month I do a student-teacher meetup where we go for a drink and a catch-up. And when it was just me doing guitar lessons, we called it the Old Guitarist Club.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. No, I was struggling to think of a name, and I was just like, what can I do? Just something silly. I don't want it to be too serious. I want it to kind of capture how kind of rough and ready the whole thing is. So I thought, it works. I'm like I said, I'm hesitant. I said in the first episode, I'm hesitant to call it a podcast because everyone's got a bloody podcast, and also, that implies like a weekly thing, which this hasn't been so far. So no, I'm glad. It's again, if anyone didn't watch the first episode, it's basically just me chatting to some people that I've met over the years of running Xander, whether they be pedal builders, pedalboard builders, anything like that, or in this case, a guitar teacher, YouTuber. How would you describe it?
I haven't really thought about it. I don't know. I'd call myself a YouTuber. I have a YouTube channel. I enjoy doing it. I'm not very good at it, but it's kind of building slowly. I'm on like nearly 3,000 subscribers now.
Yeah, you're doing better than I am. So,
but it's early days, isn't it? And you work harder at it, you'll overtake.
I don't know. I think the thing with YouTube, like with, again, like obviously I'm not calling myself a YouTuber, but the thing with that is, because I only just started doing it because when the pandemic happened, we couldn't do shows or anything like that. So I was just like, I need to market somehow, and I had some experience with, like, I did photography at college and things like that. So I kind of knew like how to set up a camera, but I didn't really know much else. And I was just like, just teach myself how to do lighting and, slowly teach myself how to do like nice B-roll and things like that. And it just kind of spiraled from there. Your
experience as a graphic designer will get you like half of the way there anyway, because you've already got an eye for how things should look.
Yeah, I've done a bit of like motion design for like the graphics and things like that. I'd done a little bit of that before, really good. But so I'm happy with a lot of that stuff. But the learning, like getting an eye for like framing stuff is surprisingly, and then having the ability to actually execute it is another thing.
I find the hardest thing is being asked. It's so much flipping effort.
Yeah.
And when you're starting out, for so little reward, or like the amount of money. If I think how much money I've spent on my YouTube channel, or on videos, I've spent thousands and thousands of pounds, and my reward has been daily or weekly waking up to Guitar Potter, or just I get a Guitar Potter, fat Harry Potter.
Oh,
you look like Harry Potter. It's like I don't mind. It's funny. If it doesn't offend me, or I get like, you get so much hate and criticism, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Sorry, everyone. The
technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulty. I'll have to get one of those little, the little girl with the thing. I'll have to throw that up on the screen. Yeah, sorry about that. It's the cons of doing virtual podcasting. But the hate comments you were saying that you get.
Hate comments, a lot of Guitar Potter.
In fairness, that one is quite funny, to be fair.
It is funny. I've had some really mean ones. I got and sometimes I have to look them up. I got Bubbles.
Oh, from the that's what my wife says that she looks like.
Bruh. Bubbles. No, your wife does not look like that. No. But yeah, do you know what's the worst about that is I've always feared that. That's the one where I've always been like, I hope nobody makes that connection, or I hope nobody thinks that, because That's a really bad one. Like Daniel
Yeah.
Radcliffe isn't a bad looking guy, so I don't
Yeah,
really
you're-
care that much.
Yeah.
But I mean, Bubbles, there's no redeeming that. There's no.
No, I mean, it is a relatively
Do you get any?
I
You must get Ada Edmondson.
no, well, but I can see it. But I think so the one I get.
Is Harry Hill?
No, you're just naming bald men now. Is that what it is?
Where's the glasses? You're wearing horn-rimmed glasses.
Yeah,
they
no,
both have horn-rimmed glasses.
Yeah, I think no. I mean, because I've only recently started wearing them, because I was like, I can't see well, like, and then I just hadn't ever addressed it. Not they're only like a tiny prescription, but I was just like, something's not right with my vision. Like stuff is blurry, and I'm like, no. In my head, I was like, no, it should stuff that's that far away should be blurry. And then I went to the opticians for like the first time in 15 years, and they were like, they just did the little thing. I was like, oh my god, like, is this what I should have been seeing? I think I just adjusted to it.
Over the
Yeah,
top.
when it's slow, you don't really notice.
Yeah, and like I said, I've got like the smallest prescription you can get, but it just brought everything back into focus, and it was just mental. But no, so I get without my glasses. Sometimes I get
So I just love that. No one's ever called you Ada Edmondson.
no. I've had a few like
I get Harry to my face in the street. I've been walking through town, and someone said to me, "All right, Harry." And then I'm like, I was puzzled, and I said to one of my students, I said, "Is there someone in Leighton Buzzard who looks like me that's called Harry?" And the kid just went, he's like, I'm not saying this, but I think they might mean Harry Potter.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it, but I mean, I wouldn't be like.
I think it's probably Americans watching the video, and they're just like, British glasses, Harry Potter.
Yeah, and you, and your, I suppose your accent is relatively similar. It's not common Essex.
By the end of this video, I might be like in the slums with your accent.
yeah, my dodgy Essex accent.
Essex it up a bit.
Mine comes and goes really. Mine isn't too bad, but it drifts in and out. I think depending on my mood. Like it comes out when I'm angry for sure.
Yeah, I'll bet. I think you're actually very well spoken. You can just hear a slight tinge of it.
Yeah,
like when you say out.
Yeah,
it's not out. It's like a creaking door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ends of words. I mean, most English accents are, but like the end of like doctor, for example, like the AH sound rather than ER. I mean, most British accents are like that, but mine is.
Yeah, mine's still doctor. It's still tuh.
Yeah, I think it just gets dragged out a little bit more. But yeah, I can't help that one, unfortunately. But no, I get, so comments wise, I get like people call me an inmate because I've got shaved head. Yeah. I think one of them was because I was wearing an orange t-shirt and there was like a blue, like in my old house, I had the blue background, so it looked like a jumpsuit. I get that. I get like, oh, get your hair cut. Oh, really funny, really original. And then, I mean, the one that I get, a couple of times is what's the guy's name? The Scottish actor who's in Split. James McAvoy. Yeah, I get him because no, I don't mind that one.
Yeah,
I get that. I get that.
That's not a bad one.
But yeah, I don't. Yeah, so I don't really get too much hate. I get some hate, some completely unhinged hate for like some of the sounds of videos that I do, or like if I'm trying to like get.
People are very sensitive, aren't they, when it comes to like,
really?
Oh, this sounds like someone, and they're like.
And
people don't understand the concept of the video is that I am using my pedals. Like, of course, I could get closer if I went and bought the actual gear, but the what I'm doing is trying to do it within the limitations of, my pedals. So obviously that has a limitation. It's just to kind of get in the ballpark. But I get some real unhinged hate messages, and you just think you wouldn't speak like this to a human being in real life. What are you doing?
Oh, it's so, you've just got to laugh. It's so funny that I get some really aggressive ones. But to be fair, like, I think people don't get that, like, sometimes you do stuff knowing you're being a prick, and it's just funny. Like, I've got a video that I made. It was like one of the first ever videos I made, and it was just because I was in America and I wanted to buy a compressor pedal, and I thought, well, I'll film it. And but it was my birthday, and I hired a Chevrolet Camaro, And so I started the video with me introducing myself and getting in the Camaro and driving off, trying to make it sound good. It didn't sound very good.
I've seen this video.
Yeah, and just so much hate on that video. Just like people like, oh my God, what a douchebag. What an absolute douchebag. What, like the worst way ever to start a video. But like, I didn't really think anyone would watch it. And that's now had like 80,000 views, which is quite a lot for me. And so it's like, oh God, if I thought anyone was ever going to bloody watch it, I wouldn't have maybe done that. But I basically did it just for my own memory, just so I could see and hear it. Because it's like one of the best things about a car like that is the way it sounds. So it was kind of for myself, really. And people are like, oh, I'm like, oh, I don't care. I just did it for me.
Yeah, and that was a similar thing for me. I think starting doing the whole YouTube thing it was a fun little creative thing for me to do, rather than just do like, again, like how many Instagram posts can you do being like, still selling pedals? Do you know what I mean? Like how many times can you do that with a static image?
Yeah, you got to come up with something original. Also, you must get a little bit sick of guitarists messaging you being like, can I have 5 of your pedals in exchange? I'll make you a video. And it's like, it's not that hard making a video. You can just make your own one and don't give anyone any pedals. And
yeah, I mean, I get so I mean that was one thing, was like to put more content out there without. I mean, cause some of the guys are good. I mean, you've done some stuff for me, and you know, I'm
not sort of writing everyone off. Like some of them are really great, and you know, they works for both of you. But the trouble with YouTube is it's swamped, isn't it?
Yeah, it's become.
Like, there are so many people trying to do a YouTube guitar channel.
It's not even just the YouTube people. It's the ones that want like just want free shit for their, you know, their little band or whatever, which is fine. I mean,
they're just like, oh, can I have...
Yeah, like, oh, I'm in basically a pub covers band or whatever. Like, can I have some free shit? And I'm like, if I was EHX or whatever and I had the marketing budget, then yeah, sure, I could make 50 pedals and give them all away. But I don't really have that. Like, I'm not really at the size of doing an endorsement thing yet. So, I mean, props to them for trying, but it's just...
You never, and at the same time, you never know. You might just hear someone and go, "Oh, do you know what? Actually, like, God, they are really good. Maybe I will take a chance on them."
Yeah,
you never know, do you? But for the most part, you just have to get used to saying no, I suppose, don't you? I've got quite good at saying no. I used to be really bad at saying no because I'm very keen to help people always. I like helping people, but I just kept getting stung like all the time. So I was like, oh, do you know what? No, not anymore. Not yes to everything anyway. Like the one I get is because I own a music school and I've got just an absolute, monstrous amount of gear, whether that's microphones or I've got, like a PA system and, like 20 guitars or whatever and, recording equipment. People ask me if they can borrow stuff quite a lot. And I'd love to say yes. But historically, I used to say yes all the time. And like literally 9 times out of 10, it would come back in a worse state than it was gone. I lent someone a PA speaker and it came back missing a foot and with a dent in it. And I lent someone a microphone. It was a Shure SM58, which is like, I think like 90 or 100 quid now. And they took that and they brought back a different microphone because someone else at the gig had pinched it. And it's like they brought back like a 20 quid mic and I gave them a 90 quid mic. And it was awkward because it was like a friend's brother. Yeah. So it's like, I wouldn't be like, oh, you give me, it's just... I just shouldn't have lent it out.
Yeah, and
people still ask me, and I'd love to do it, but it's not worth it. There's not just is there no benefit for me, but there's only pain. I stand to gain only financial issues because of it.
Yeah, oftentimes, like when people ask me for stuff, it's like if it's for a demo or whatever, because obviously sometimes you send them stuff and the agreement is, you pay them however much money plus they get to keep the pedal or whatever. But sometimes you get people messaging saying, oh, I'm just starting out or whatever, can you just send me a pedal and I'll send it back? But I'm at the point where with that stuff, I just assume that I'm not going to get the pedal back, or that I just write it off and I just say, if they go, oh, how can I send it back to you? I just go, just keep it. Do you know what I mean? It's not worth the hassle of sending it.
It's nice of you.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's not worth the hassle, like, especially if stuff is in, like, and again, just from experience of being stung by it before, obviously now, especially, well, it was in America, but now also, thanks to Brexit, anywhere outside of the UK, if if someone sends me something back and they don't know, they're not used to marking out customs forms, sometimes I get a charge to import my own stuff back to me, and it's like, what's the point?
I don't suppose this is the platform for it, but I know that Brexit has messed over a lot of boutique instrument manufacturers.
Yeah, definitely.
Did I tell you what happened to? Do you know Stonewolf Mike?
Yeah.
You know, he made me. I'll give Mike a little plug. So Mike
Very
made me
nice.
this like insane.
Very
It's like
good.
the best thing I've ever played. And I was there, and he carved it to my hand, so it like fits my hand perfectly. It's like my absolute pride and joy. In fact, I took this to Mike recently for a setup, and his jaw hit the floor. See the headstock on this is matte.
Yeah.
The neck was also matte,
Right.
but is now completely gloss.
Lovely.
And it's purely from playing it. It was completely matte.
Oh,
So
really?
I polished that with my hand. No, I've just played that so much that it's polished, just through playing it.
Yeah, he makes some.
And what's really reassuring is I'd have been really embarrassed polished all the way up. So I'd have been really embarrassed. Imagine if it was like just polished up here, like just cowboy chords, campfire songs at JTSCM. But Mike sold 2 guitars to one person in Europe, and then they didn't know, and Mike thought that he was like had filled out some kind of exemption form, but for whatever reason it wasn't the case. And then the guy who bought them has to message Mike, say, I've had a letter from customs, I need to pay £1,500 to pick up the 2 guitars. And they said, I haven't got it. And I think Mike ended up giving him like something insane, like £750 or £1,000 off the price of one of the guitars, just so he could actually pick them up. And it's like, so basically he built a guitar. One of them was like non-for-profit, and the other one he made profit on. But
For builders, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a dealer in Germany, so that helps a little bit. But in terms of like direct sales, they've died since it actually went through. It's been a nightmare, because obviously people are thinking like, well, I'm going to get, depending on what country they live in, obviously VAT in some countries are like 30% or even higher than the UK. So they're like, well, that 150 quid pedal is now 200 quid.
Yeah, I noticed, one of the things I noticed is I used to compare prices on Tommen, and that's changed now, because for a while they just said not including VAT. This is a cheery podcast. So basically, don't start your own business. Don't start a YouTube channel. Don't ask to borrow anything from us unless you're exceptionally talented and we like you. And what was the other one? You can call us whatever you like. It's funny. We don't mind getting called insulting names.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, I'll bite my tongue on that, on the last on the Brexit thing, maybe. Anyway, let's I suppose let's move on to something a little bit more cheery. You know, we've known each other for a while. I think we met, I think at my first show that I did in 2017. I think it was my first show that we met. I met you and Will, who helps you do some filming when you were doing filming at shows.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Yes, yeah. That was the first one. Yeah, so that was, and that video is probably, I'm sure it exists on YouTube somewhere, and you can probably see my very, very nervous disposition doing my first ever interview for Xander. A lot has changed.
You were great in the pedals. I still love. I've been waiting for that tape deck to come out for ages, haven't I? I loved that pedal. Your take on the remember that big green?
Oh yeah. So I made I'll try and dig an image out, and I'll put it on the screen if I can find it. But because I sold it, but it was like and it kind of exists in the Duplo now, I suppose, but minus the reverb. But it was basically three delays in parallel, and then a reverb circuit, kind of all styled in like a Space Echo-y style enclosure. It sounded really good. It was an interesting pedal.
That's absolutely awesome pedal. But Will and I are big fans of all your pedals. Will I think has got the cafetiere on his pedal board.
Oh, is he? Oh, cool. Oh, I didn't know if you still had that.
Can't really see it. Well, I've got your prototype up there.
Oh.
I've got the surplus as well. I love the surplus.
Yeah, I think I gave you like a very early or like first one that I made of something.
You gave me a proto, yeah. I'll grab them. I'm really bad for just like swapping out pedals all the time.
Yeah.
So I've got
Oh, the Cranium prototype #1. Yeah, God.
yeah, and then I've got the Surplus. This is the before you've gone into that small form factor stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What's the feedback been like about that? Because I don't know how people push the button with one. I'm really bad at getting two buttons at once. Not on this, but that would be my fear of the small form factor ones with the two buttons.
Yeah, I mean, it's been positive so far. I haven't had anyone mention about like them being too close to. I guess because I'm kind of the trend has been kind of moving in that direction from multiple builders. So I guess it just kind of fits the expectations.
Exotic do that, don't they, as well?
Yeah, and like the Chase Bliss stuff and things.
Makes sense just to get, because people have started stuffing their pedal boards.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you were asking me questions and I interrupted you and
No.
criticizes your pedals for having the buttons too. Feel
No.
free to cut that out.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We'll leave it in. There's no cutting in this show.
Well, the lie detector determined that was a lie.
No, so I was going to say let's move on to a more cheery topic because obviously we've known each other for a while, but I actually don't really know your history with like guitar, like how you got into it, when did you start playing, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to say accidentally, but I took up cello when I was about 6, and not because I wanted to, but because I was in a really boring lesson at school, and a teacher came into the classroom and said, if anyone wants to learn an instrument, they have to go to the hall now. I was like, yeah, all right, yeah. And then I got to the hall, and there was a violinist, a cellist, and a upright bass player. And I was just like, too big, too small. I will learn the cello. And so I ended up learning the cello until I was 10 years old. And I didn't really practice. I played in the lessons, so I kind of got better, developed a bit of an ear, but I wasn't really that interested. It was a great way. Like if I had a lesson I didn't want to go to, I just signed up to my lesson that time and then had my cello lesson. So I'd leave early and walk there really slowly, and then have the lesson, then walk really slowly back, so that I'd take up like an hour of missing a boring lesson. And then but I kind of accidentally got a bit of an ear for music, but I had no interest in playing it at all. And then my dad got a guitar for his 40th when I was 10, and he was struggling to tune it, but because I had a bit of an ear from playing the cello, I was able to tune it for him. And then once it was in tune, I realized a lot of this boring cello stuff I was playing, you could actually just put straight on guitar. And it was really like a really easy transition. So I was like, oh, I didn't know I could play guitar. So I could just kind of already play guitar a little bit. And then when I played the cello, people would like ask me, like aunties and uncles and stuff would be like, oh, can we hear you play cello? And I'd play something and they'd be like, oh, it's very nice. But you can tell they really didn't care. It was really, it was boring. No one cared. And then when I was tuning Dad's guitar and I worked something, he was like, how can you play guitar? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, play this, try this. So like, I guess him being really excited about it got me excited about it. And then there was a guy at school who played guitar in assembly, and I thought he was terrible. But all of the girls afterwards ran up to him like, oh, Lewis, can you play this song by like Ronan Keating? And he was like, oh, no, I haven't done chords yet, because we were like 11 or 12. Yeah, this is like 19. Was it 19 even? It was like, no, it was like 2001 or 2001 roughly. And so yeah, Ronan Keating was in the, and oh my god, this is my way out. This is like my ticket to being like not like a loser or something. And so I went home and I got Dad's guitar, and he had a learn to play guitar book, and it had When You Say Nothing at All in the songbook. Right, and so I practiced like firstly overnight, and then the next day I went to school and I said, oh, Lewis, I saw you play guitar in assembly yesterday. I didn't know you played as well. And I said, can you do any chords yet? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm going to show you some chords. And then the two of us on the field playing It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart. Like just surrounded by girls, and I was like, "That's it,
You found the
guitar,
ticket.
guitar from now on."
I
That I
remember.
found, yeah, that was my golden ticket, was guitar playing.
I mean, I'd picked up the guitar younger, and I was playing for a bit, but I had a similar, uh, just being dumb teenage boy shit. I think I learned. I think for my either she was either my girlfriend at the time, or like it was going that way. When we were like 12, and 12 or 13, I think. And I learned a Taylor Swift song, and I can't remember which one it is. No, I know. It was that Romeo and Juliet song. The ding 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 ding.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
I've
learned.
had to teach it. Like,
Yeah, I learned that
yeah,
when I
that's
was
so funny.
whenever it came out. Yeah.
Courting.
Oh God,
Oh,
yeah.
funny you should met my first girlfriend. I remember. Well, I asked her out, and she said basically, "I really like you, but no, just we're just friends." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I asked her to come over to watch a film anyway because we were friends. And she came over, and then she saw I had some guitars, and she was like, "Oh, didn't realize you played guitar." And then she was like, "Can you play any Coldplay?" And I didn't really like Coldplay, but yes, I could obviously play Yellow. So I played and I sang Yellow to her. And then we watched a film. It was really nice. And she went home, and then she texted me back and said, "About what you asked me the other night, I'd like to change my answer to yes." And I was like, "Oh, guitar again."
Yeah.
Like guitar to the rescue.
It served you well
But
over the years. Then.
it's really ridiculous though, isn't it? It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny.
I've done very well out of guitar. I've done very, very well out of guitar
We put a whole living off of it, not
because
just.
there's nothing else going for me.
Oh, don't be
It's
so
just-
hard on yourself.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
No,
No,
I
that's
get.
right. I'm being falsely modest. I'm pretty brilliant.
Yeah. See, that's more like it. Seeing you, because it's the first time I've seen your kind of new studio space. Because you were up in a lofty area before, weren't you? I think. The last time I came.
It wasn't a loft. It was just, but it was on this. It was on the second floor. But yeah,
Yeah, like top area.
no,
Yeah, I know, not a loft.
This
But
is
you know what I
still
mean.
on the
Yeah.
first floor. Yeah.
Lovely. That's
Yeah.
your.
No, this. Oh, you haven't been here then? No, this place is
no.
great. We've got 4 teaching rooms and a waiting area and bathrooms, and we've gone from when you were last at the music school. One, it was called JT Guitar, but now we've got so many other students that aren't guitarists that we're now called the JT School of Contemporary Music, because we went from like 70 students a week to now 130.
Oh,
So, and that's like the most we've ever had.
yeah, for sure. Because it's guitar.
It's a lot of admin. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
I can
admin
imagine.
now.
But it's like guitar, bass, piano. Drum?
Guitar, bass, drums, ukulele, piano, vocals, music production.
Bloody hell. Yeah, massive.
So, but it's not all me. I teach guitar, ukulele, and acoustic guitar, and then we have other teachers for everything else.
No,
We have
it's
2
cool.
piano teachers, and we have another guitar teacher. We've got a guitar teacher who teaches my waiting list. So anyone I can't fit in goes to him, and he's got, I think, 25 students of his own. So
Oh, that's
my
good.
waiting list has almost got a waiting list. So
Yeah.
we're it's really like lockdown was a bit scary. Lockdown,
I was just about to ask that.
You know, a huge number of people. Yeah, lockdown. We went from like 70 down to like 40-ish. And then what was annoying is the timing of lockdown. As I moved to this new premises in September 2019, and then I took a business loan because this place had no walls, no rooms. It was like a warehouse, and I had to build all these rooms. And obviously, that labor is very expensive. And although Will helped, and he was free, and he was brilliant.
Yeah, good old.
But so I
Will.
spent a lot of money on this place right before we had to close for 2 years. So
Yeah.
that was quite scary.
So were you doing it virtually?
So I was
over
like,
the
I think it was about. I
pandemic?
spent about. Yeah, we did. I switched. Like I just hit the ground running with doing online lessons, and they kept us afloat. And then also they've had like a kind of a sort of delayed benefit, which is previously I had like a student who he was saying, "Oh, John, I'm moving to Northern Ireland, so this is going to be my last lesson." I was like, "Oh, it's been great, and you're welcome to come back anytime and all that." And then right at the end of the lesson, I said to him, "You're online anyway. we like,
Yeah.
if you want to carry on, we can just do your lessons. You know, you can just do them from Ireland. He was like, God, I hadn't even considered it. So I would have lost him like a year and a half ago, but now he's still having lessons because they're online. And I've got students who've gone to uni and they would have normally stopped, but they've carried on because they have the lessons online while they're at uni, and then when they're back for summer and Easter, they come in. So it's been quite good for student retention. Also, people have emergencies, like they might say, our car's broken down, and I'll say, no problem, do you want to do the lesson online? And it means they don't lose out on the lesson, because otherwise I'd charge it was if they couldn't get it. But if they can do an online lesson, then obviously it's not a problem. Overall, I think if anything, the pandemic was kind of worth it, because it's forced me to like adapt.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just great that it's lasted and gotten through that. And it sounds like obviously things are only on kind of the up and up with it. Yeah,
well, I've been crazy lucky, really, because like I said, I didn't plan even on owning music school. What it was is I went to the Institute of Contemporary Music Performance in London, and while I was there, I was working pretty much full-time hours as a floor sander to fund being able to get there, because I had to get the train into London every day. And then I was working like a night shift a lot of the time, sanding floors in restaurants and stuff, and it was really hard work. And then leaving very early, so I was just constantly exhausted. And then one day I was in my hometown, Leighton Buzzard, in the high street, and I just saw this little tiny unit to let. And I was 18 years old, and I phoned the landlord and didn't tell him I was 18. And I asked how much it was, and he said it was £250 a month. And I thought, if I taught guitar from the high street, I'd have passing trade, and no other guitar teachers have that. So I got the unit and I painted a mural of Jimmy. I called it JT Guitar, and I had that idea in my head for a while, the whole JT guitar thing. And what I did was I started doing that on Sundays. So I still did floor sanding on a Saturday, and I started teaching guitar on a Sunday. And what I do is I had a pavement sign made up, and I put it at the end of the alleyway where my first shop was smaller than this office. It was like microscopic.
Oh, really?
But it was enough to teach one-on-one guitar lessons. And I just put the sign out saying free trial guitar lesson, like this way. And I'd have the door open and I'd just play guitar loudly. And then people would come down and say, what do you do here? And I'd say, would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a guitar lesson? And within 9 months of doing that, I went full-time. And so when I was 19, I was full-time at JT Guitar, and now I'm 32. So it's been 13 years that I've had a music school for. And what it was is I got so booked up after a few years that I had to get another teacher to teach my waiting list, and he would teach my waiting list when I went home. And then he got really booked up, so I got another guitar teacher to teach his waiting list. And then there was a music school in town that, for various reasons, went bust. And their drum teacher was looking for work. And so I said, well, I haven't got space to have a drum lessons in this tiny shop, but I'll keep you in mind. And then, like, as sort of fate goes, a guy who I taught his son guitar, he said to me, oh, John, I've got a premises that might be ideal for you. And that's what you saw,
right?
And he said, "I'd really like you to, like rent it." And he said, "You don't have to pay a deposit." And the rent there was like £600 a month.
I mean, even that's
which
not
was,
bad. It's a big jump, but
it's not bad at all. And it was it's a big jump, but it's still small. And also the possibility was in that premises, I had a waiting area and 2 teaching rooms. So I could, whilst I was making I don't know how much, it was quite a long time ago. So I was probably only charging something like £25 an hour or £30 an hour for lessons. But the point was I could double that by having 2 sets of lessons. So although it was bigger, it wasn't double the cost overall with all the bills and stuff involved. So it was quite an easy transition. And then while I was there for like 4 years, and then believe it or not, the person who owns this premises came to me and said, "Oh, John, I've got a premises that I think will be ideal for you." And then this place is a lot more expensive, but it's still like with bills, it's still less than £1,500 a month. I mean, it'd be unbelievably expensive if I was like on the high street, or I'm in the high street, but I'm down an alleyway off the high street still. I will always be off the high street. As soon as you get to on the high street, it's like 40 grand a year. So it's, it gets to crazy money.
Yeah, that's
It's like, how are you supposed to, like, music shops just can't survive anymore, because there's been like 4 in Leighton Buzzard that have gone bust because their rent is like £40,000 a year. And it's like, how many packets of strings do you have to sell to make 40 grand a year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it just doesn't work.
No, and it's all shifted online now, isn't it?
There's not the demand, and there's too much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've had a few.
Because I used to sell. I used to be like a little shop as well.
Yeah, because I remember seeing.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say. Well, I remember visiting.
Stock.
Yeah. I remember seeing bits and pieces in there that were. Yeah, it was like a shop as well, which I guess it's a nice way to kind of supplement stuff, but relying on it as the main source of the income is not necessarily the best idea.
Well, there was 2 problems. 2 problems with it. One, selling stock meant people thought they could just sort of walk in anytime. Because, and I'd sometimes be like, teaching guitar, and people would come in and want to buy stuff, and it's like, oh, we're not really a shop. I just sell accessories, and like mainly to students. And then the other thing was, it was a big hit every time I had to reorder stock. As like quite a small turnover business at the time, and still really, still a small business. If I wanted to buy all those guitar strings and like the cables and stuff, it would cost me like £900, and then it might be 6 months to sell them all. And there are like minimum order values, and like to get the best price, you have to buy more of them. So Korg are really bad for this. Korg, who are really local, Korg UK Limited headquarters are in Milton Keynes, where I live. And I'm a Korg dealer, technically. I'm a Korg dealer. But they sell stuff like, if I want tuners, I have to buy a minimum of 20. And it takes me ages to sell 20 tuners. And they're quite expensive tuners. It's like, I have to buy 20 tuners, and they're like 15 quid, and the retail price is like 20 quid. And then, so the markup's rubbish anyway. Yeah. And then people sell them on Amazon for like 16 quid. So there's just no point. There's just no point selling stuff. It was good for getting people in. It was good but we're now so busy with lessons and handling bookings. When you've got 130 people a week, imagine how many people are ill or on holiday or have a dentist appointment or have like a swimming competition. You constantly have to like rearrange them, and it's a lot of admin.
Yeah, totally.
I can't complain, because it still revolves around doing what I love, and it's a nice problem to have. I'd be a lot more upset if I didn't have as many people to worry about.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, it's a good problem to have, being just being busy. But no, I mean it's good. I mean, I didn't know a lot of the backstory, so it's definitely interesting, and like seeing it, having like know the history of like how it's grown and stuff. Through both hard work and also
very
just
organically.
Like the kind of the serendipity of having people that like they go like, oh, I've got the perfect place for you or whatever. I mean, that kind of stuff. It just
that's been very lucky. That's kind of drying up though now, because I am thinking of moving again, but there's a couple of options. I can't decide whether to move again and build something bigger. That's like a music school, but it's also a venue, and it has like a record shop, and it has a music shop, and it has, all these, like the sort of a music hub. But that's a lot of work. It's a lot of risk, because it's a lot of cost. And it's just impossible to buy commercial premises at the moment, because any commercial premises or any old building or any bit of land is just being mowed down to build flats. So you can't buy anything. There's nothing to buy. There's nothing to let, or if it is to let, it's way too expensive. So my other option I'm thinking of doing, this might be that this premises is kind of like final form of the JT School of Contemporary Music. What I might start doing is, because I do like pretty well out of it, and it's it works well as a business model, I might start franchising this music school package.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so if someone else wanted to open their own music school, in their hometown, they'd like, I haven't worked out the ins and outs of it yet, but basically they could open a JTSCM, and I'd help them run it, or help them get set up, help them find like finance and like the business model, and use all our spreadsheets and stuff. And that might be a way of expanding without having to run another one myself, because it's quite a lot of work running one as it is. So I could sort of step away a little bit from this one and then focus more on opening more and having like ideally one day, like a national franchise of music schools.
Yeah, like the big aspirations of it is right. Yeah, sorry everyone, this delay is just, I don't know what's going on, but so you're going to have to suffer through this delay. But yeah, I mean, having the aspirations of, you know, aiming for something that far, I mean, it's just always going to be, you know, it's worth a go, isn't it? Definitely. Once you've, like you said, it's a big risk, but
well, you know what they say? They say aim for the moon and you'll land amongst the stars.
yeah.
So even if like that's my idea and that's the goal, I'll probably still, whatever happens, I'll be growing or improving. And I'm actually, I really need to go any minute.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say we can wrap up. I think reaching for the moon and landing on the stars is quite a nice way to.
That's pretty good. Let me give some adages, because I always give my students adages. It's really bad because obviously they come for guitar lessons, but I can't help but always just sort of squeeze into these like young people's brains a few things that I really just think more people need to hear. Firstly, and I think you do this, a wise person buys a house they can't afford and a car they can afford to throw away.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
A wise person buys the worst house on the best street, because you can always fix up a house, but you can't fix up the whole street. And then one of my favorites is, if at first you don't succeed, destroy all evidence suggesting you tried. Because that way people will think that you're very successful. I tried in a rock day, and I lost money for like 6 months in a row and stopped.
No.
And
yeah.
but no one needs to know that.
No, yeah. Just
And,
like you said, bury the evidence.
Do you know what though? That's a hard thing to. It's a hard thing to sometimes say to yourself, "I'm not good at this," and to go, "I might want this, but I'm not good at this, so I should just stop and stick to what I know." Respect your niche as well. That's an important one.
Quickly, if you've got a minute, do you want to anything you want to plug? Just while you've got 30 seconds.
Yeah, I've started a new band. I haven't told you this yet. Or maybe I have told you this. I've started a new band called Octrain. I don't care about the businessy stuff. I've started a band called Octrain. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see I've posted like a little demo of one of our songs, and that's just a short. But I'm probably going to be stepping away from the YouTube channel in terms of doing what I have been doing, which is guitar tuition sort of videos, and focus really on this band, which is called Octrain.
Cool.
So hopefully that goes well, and you've heard it here first.
Yeah.
This is the first place I've ever mentioned starting the band, really.
Brilliant.
Octrain. If anyone's wondering, Octrain means 8 bars of music, or 8 lines of music is an octrain.
I'm sure that my 8 viewers will go and check that out. So, yeah, that's perfect. Thanks, John.
Subscribe
Thank you. Thank you for being on and humouring my little show. Yes, it's lovely to catch up. We'll have to do it a bit more often. But yes, thank you for watching, everyone.
I love your channel.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you everyone for watching. I will catch you next time. Bye.
Knobheads.